All right. What's going on, Tom Tribe? I'm going to dub you guys the Tom Tribe if that's okay. If you guys hate it, we can totally throw it out, but I think it's got a good ring to it. I don't know about you guys, but I really appreciate you guys tuning back in. We got episode 2 here. Um, just me in the chair again today, just ripping another solo one. I'm excited to talk to you a little bit about you know, the podcast we have lined up, the guests we got lined up, some exciting stuff, the schedule. But just me today. Sorry to disappoint, but I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed episode 1, gave you a little background about how the podcast got started, where the idea came from. If you haven't heard it yet, go check it out. Love to hear your feedback, love to hear your comments. So it's what's funny is we're back in the studio, okay? We're back in my garage. Like I showed you in episode 1, I built a little bit of a studio in my garage. Wanted to make this, more face to face, if you will. Give it a little video with the audio. Spotify is beautiful for this. Happy to have Apple Podcasts now as well and YouTube. But Spotify makes it pretty easy. It's been pretty awesome working through their tools. But yes, now that I'm on video, you can see I'm a little flushed today. So for this episode, I was hoping to wear like a flannel, something nice, right? A little collared shirt, maybe a cowboy hat. I got a lot of requests last time for the cowboy hat, and it's Thanksgiving week, right? But in Texas, it is still in the 80 degrees. So I didn't put my AC unit on this time because I felt like it was covering a little bit of the audio last time. But so just ripping this in my garage, no coolness, no AC, and yeah, I don't know how I could have done it in a flannel and a cowboy hat. So just casual again today. Just got my grays on. I got pretty trippy hat on right here. Kind of go into which we'll talk about later. But to talk a little bit about the schedule coming up, I'm gonna keep this episode kind of quick for you guys. Really want to, pitch the guests that are coming up. Get you guys excited. I think there's going to be some really awesome conversation, some really interesting perspectives from the guests I have lined up. But the goal is for me to do primarily host and guest podcasts, but also I'll rip some of these solo ones as well. Just probably talk more about things that are going on in my life in Texas, things that are happening, Jimbo Fisher being fired, current events, right? Him sitting on his couch in the first year and making like $26 million to not coach for Texas A&M. Have to talk about it. We're going to have some amazing guests coming up. Very excited about it. We're looking at some of my best friends to start off the podcast with the guest series. So we have some friends that grew up in West Texas. We have some friends that grew up in Fort Worth. Friends from work, that I've met through my professional life. Friends that I made in college. Friends I made through the conservation groups that I'm a part of. Clients in the future. Very excited. Family members. And if I'm lucky, I can convince my 92-year-old grandfather over the Christmas break to also jump on here and tell us some amazing stories about him growing up. He was born in the 30s. So pretty amazing. I'm excited to hear some perspectives of my guests, have you guys hear about their amazing lives so far, what they have going on, projects, culture. We talk everything Texas, business. I'm very excited to have them on. I hope you guys are as well. But back to my trippy ass hat that I got on right here. So I don't know if a lot of you, probably a lot of you Longhorns, if there are any Longhorns tuning into the podcast, are probably very familiar with this image that's on my hat, even though it's skewed a little bit. But it's actually it's a famous graffiti art that was made on the drag on UT. It's on Guadalupe. Guadalupe is what we say, or Guad, right? But it's the drag for UT students and alumni. But it's a graffiti art. This little crazy monster that's on my hat, and it says over it, "Hi, how are you?" Um, I actually bought this. This is actually through a foundation. So there's an amazing foundation that's headquartered here in Austin, Texas, called the Hi, How Are You Project. And it is a mental health foundation. Again, headquartered here in Austin, Texas. It is centered around helping the mental illness pandemic, helping with mental health awareness, especially in the 2023s, right? In the 2020s, I feel like mental health has been so important to everybody, right? It's really become at the forefront of of the diagnosis for depression. It's come at the forefront of work-life balance, especially when we were in the pandemic. I feel like there was unfortunately a lot of negative side effects from it from a mental perspective. So I'm very proud to support the Hi, How Are You project based in Austin, Texas. Check it out. I've also had the chance to hear a lot about mental health just in my job. I was at a networking lunch. In fact, on Friday, a good buddy of mine invited me to it, where it was more of a healthcare digital startup kind of networking lunch, kind of a TED talk, if you will. But the primary speaker talked about his struggles with mental illness and what led to him starting his own foundation called The Real, that's based out of Atlanta, Georgia, in fact. So I just wanted to highlight the hat. I'm trying to get new things to keep it interesting, not just the same outfits every time. I'm gonna have some better shit. I promise you that when coming in. But the go check it out. Check out their website. Donate your time. Donate any aid to it. I think it's important, and they're a Texas-based company, Texas-based foundation. So check it out. Two other things need to address on this podcast. So when I did the episode 1, the last podcast we were doing, I may not have clarified enough for some of my friends and family where I grew up in Dallas. So to me, I look at growing up as where was I born to the majority of my adolescent life, right? So I was born in North Dallas. I grew up on a circle, actually, off of if you're familiar with the Arapahoe Meadow Creek area, basically Hillcrest and Arapahoe. I wound up going to Prestonwood Elementary School. It was a kindergarten through 6th grade. We didn't have middle schools. We had junior highs for some reason. So I was there, and then went to Park Hill Junior High, which was a feeder school, still Richardson ISD, but a feeder school into J.J. Pierce High School. From there, and this is where I got called out by a lot of my friends, Mason Laycock, I'm looking at you, man. Our family moved to be closer to my dad's work, his office, and my grandparents to the Park Cities. So if you're familiar with Dallas, it is basically 2 cities, 2 little towns that is just north of uptown and downtown Dallas, called University Park, where I lived, and Highland Park. Ooh, I feel like I got called out by my friends because they said, was I embarrassed to say that I was from Highland Park, that I was a Parkie? For those of you who don't know the Dallas area, Highland Park and kind of the Park Cities area is a more preppy area, to put it lightly. It's an incredible community to live in, but it does get a little bit of a stigma from people around the surrounding area. There are some very wealthy families that live in that area. It is basically its own independent school district. We have, I believe it's 5 elementary schools now, but it used to be 4. I never went to them. My brother did for 1 year, 4th grade. We have McCullough Middle School, or I think it's called Highland Park Middle School. And then it goes right into Highland Park High School. We were the Scotties. So I'm just clarifying for my friends, Mason Laycock, that I am proud to say that I did go to high school at Highland Park. It's a great neighborhood to be a part of, and we had a lot of great memories. In fact, I'm going to grab this. I was digging around in my closet, and I found my old football jersey, which I bet looks kind of loserish to most of my audience here, that I kept my high school football jersey. But I feel like most people did, right? You keep your, I got a letter jacket somewhere. I was number 23. We were the blue and gold were our colors, and we were the Highland Park Scots. Just like kind of like the Highlands, right? So we had Scots was the mascot. We had pretty much a whole group of, I guess they're called yell leaders. They were called the Scotsmen, but we did have cheerleaders. I didn't go to 2 schools that only had male yell leaders. Unfortunately, that was just A&M. But yeah, it was an incredible experience. I have amazing friends still to this day that grew up with me, that were in my wedding. Best friends, for 20 years at this point, right? Or 15, I guess. We're not to our 20-year high school reunion just yet. And just an amazing community to be a part of. I'm only going to hit on this for a second, but because I know I mentioned it in the first episode. But yeah, I was lucky to be part of the football team that won a state championship in 2005. We played just an absolute crazy lineup of athletes. I already mentioned to you in the last pod that we had Matthew Stafford as our starting quarterback, which is incredible enough. But the playoff road, and I'll just hit on this for a second, but the playoff road that we had going through, it was 5 games. You had to play 5 playoff games. You win all 5, you're state champions. 3 of those 5 games, we played incredible collegiate level, and a lot of them went pro as well, like Stafford did, quarterbacks. So I believe the first or second game we played was against Ryan Mallett. It was at Texarkana, Texas High. And if you're familiar with Ryan Mallett, he was an Arkansas Razorback starting quarterback, wound up becoming a starting quarterback. A little bit of drama, actually, I think, in the I think it was Hard Knocks when they did the Texans, or I know he was a backup at one point for the Pats, but I think it was the Texans a couple years back. Got thrown off the team or something for some reason. But anyways, he was a hothead. We played Graham Harrell in the Ennis High School. Don't remember their mascot, but Ennis High School. And he wound up becoming the starting quarterback at Texas Tech University in Lubbock, Texas Tech Red Raiders. And then to really pretty much was the state championship. I'll tell you why in a second. But in the semifinal game, we played Stephenville High School. Starting quarterback was Jevin Sneed. And Jevin Sneed, RIP, he's no longer with us, unfortunately. But he wound up going to Texas. He was back up to Colt McCoy, wound up pivoting and wound up starting for Ole Miss and led them to a couple winning seasons. So it was an incredibly hard 5 games for some reason or another, and I think we still have the record for this. The state championship game, 4A 2005 football, right? In Texas State championship game, we played Marshall, which I believe was like out of the Houston area, and we beat them. And I think it's still the largest, um, you know, largest deficit or largest area of defeat, largest score margin. That's what I'm looking for. Largest score margin of any Texas State championship game, but we won 59-0. All the other games leading up to that were neck and neck, literally. Amazing football games. I remember my parents just riding that wave. I was a junior, barely played, but they loved it. And just the amazing games that we were having that led to that. But yeah, that was it. Just was an amazing experience growing up in high school and being a part of because we hadn't won a state championship in like 50 years or something like that. So it was just an incredible wave that we rode. Unfortunately, my senior year, we kind of blew it in like game 2 or something. But I'm very proud to have grown up, gone to high school in Highland Park High School. Incredible community to be in. All right, enough about HP. So last thing, and we're going to close out the pod. What I'm trying to accomplish on this podcast, right, is really, I feel like there's so many amazing stories to be told about this beautiful state that I call home, right? It really is a state of mind. I know that's kind of cliche. People say that a lot around here, but being from Texas, growing up in Texas, there's a reason why we're so proud to call Texas our home, and it's everything, right? It's all the beautiful cities we have. There's a reason why people are moving here, right? We have just an incredible, like I think obviously we're the second largest in terms of states in the union, right behind Alaska. So lots of room, even though I think like 90% of the population lives in this what we call the triangle between Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, Houston. But it's just there's a lot going on right now in the state, in business. We've had some awesome people move to Austin over the last 5 years. Elon Musk, Joe Rogan, a lot of businesses moved to Texas. And really the point of this podcast, right, is to get some interesting guests on. Obviously the goal is to get Arch Alpote, Beaver Alpote on from Bucky's on. But I think it's just to really give a voice to a lot of my friends, close friends, individuals that make up this beautiful culture, whether it be through music or film or business or education, food, wildlife, real estate, you name it. I'm just excited to have a lot of different style of guests on that can really speak their stories, make it kind of long streaming type podcasts. You can really get to the meat of some cool stories and some cool perspectives on where Texas is and where it's heading. So I hope you guys are excited and ready to come along for the ride. I appreciate you guys tuning in for episode 2, and we'll be back in, I want to say, a week to 2 weeks. I'm going to be putting out episodes hopefully on a weekly basis for you guys to check out. So thanks so much for joining me and putting Texas on my mind.